But the fog mangles the lungs like a net curtain jiving with wasps. He had a thing about lungs, wasps he could take or leave. Jiving with wasps.
Yeah, looking out from the fog.
That was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to... So you have 3 mentions of wasps in poems and bees.
Good.
Looking out from the fog. He was an awful liar. He said they took out his tubercular gland and hung it on a tree to dry. No one else said things like that. It gave us a laugh at the wall. We were the last of the leaners and blamers gang. Gussie owned the tubercular gland story and all stinking liver, big, small and middling-sized tapeworm in the intestine stories. He could weave a lonely streak with his war and loss stories that would make us nearly cry. And we were big men. Well, some of us were big. Most of us were shrinking from getting a taste of nothing these days. The amount of times he got thrown down a well and left for dead in his stories was not funny, but we laughed. And we leaned and we blamed. Gussie was a spitter as well as a leaner and a blamer. He used to say, cross yourself thrice if you see a suitcase bobbing in the canal. Like, when were we going to see a suitcase bobbing in the canal? He had a whole charm bracelet of weather stories. He didn't like fog. Any other weather the body can beat, he'd say. But the fog mangles the lungs like a net curtain jiving with wasps. He had a thing about lungs. Wasps he could take or leave. With fog, you don't know who your enemy is. You don't know where he's been before he went in. Is he just a man of fog or a man looking out from the fog? Or is he a spectre from the suitcase bobbing in the canal? With most stories we'd laugh. With this one, we didn't. But I do all the Saturday morning work for Brendan's show from the box room. I just do it on the phone. All those pandemic poems, the whole book was done on the phone. The bees are coming. Didn't we miss lots of seasons that time? Wasn't it mostly dark and darker? The sameness of things was hard to stomach. Snowdrops, daffodils and crocuses gave us colder days, but we loved their coats and colours. Now you notice the morning light getting earlier and earlier. The bird song is welcome. You nearly hold your breath to listen. You never knew nature and the seasons meant so much. The buds are peeping and popping. Cherry blossom with its pink gush and blush is ahead of you on all journeys. Pickups and drop-offs, walks to the local beach. The tadpoles are busy. The caterpillar move is slow, but it is on. Entire families of them. The bees are coming, looking for nectar. We are nicer, looking for nectar too. We are smiling. Hope is hanging round. Seedlings are sprouting. Spring is here. I'll go for the Odd Wasp.
Yeah.
The Odd Wasp. I have seen women who were ashen with venial sin and hardly able to stand with the thrashing they got from the Holy Spirit. They had faint hope that someday life was going to be easier. Faint hope is better than no praise at all in the catacomb of their what do you call it. There was a drinker to be prayed for. Everyone had one of them jigglers. There was the child whose name was Donal. Everyone called him special. A gentle child with no malice. He played ball against the side of the house, a different house every day. Bong, bong, bong. A hard red ball. It was reckoned that if Donal died in his sleep, he'd go straight to hell because he had not taken some sacrament that gave him a bypass hell voucher. Other moral deficiencies were figured out on a sliding scale of the indignant adult whose nose was in the next county, making several about-face chin jerks a week about the weight of sin, a few arras thrown in. People at the centre of things couldn't cope with nice and gentle and no trace of malice. That's why special laden nicely across the young lad's brow. As always came before a wall. Came before a lot of things, and God help us was never far behind. Donal didn't come from a hive of copers, neither did the women who were ashen with venial sin. They came from a hive of ours and blamers. They awed the day away, talking casually of the no harm that was inbuilt in all of us. Out of that hive came the Odd Wasp. One such wasp was christened Thomas Mary Aquinas Legume, known locally as Tommy the Hammer. He picked up his nickname not by chance or any hidden elegance, but by an evil force that made him do it. At the communal well, people said about Tommy the H, "Ah, the poor devil." And the second row said, "Ah, God help us." No one mentioned the roofer for Pat Mackey. We met the minister, we gave him buns, we admired his suit, the band played, we all clapped. No one mentioned the roofer, whose overtime was cut, whose undertime was cut, whose fringe was cut, whose shoelaces were cut, whose job was lost. We searched for his job, but it had disappeared. One of us should have said, "Hey, minister, we like your suit, have a bun, where are our jobs?" But there was no point. He was here on a bun-eating session, not a job-finding session. His hands were tied, his tongue a marshmallow. Tongulish. The longest day of the year has passed. It sped like Pythia in a chariot filled with Bakshis syllables, yours for the taking. Now there will be less time for you to say more, and you have known to speak in tongues, but not lately, dotling. I can take any old blather and you can give it, but that aching silence that never satisfies any gulf is the silence I've come to loathe. Throw out all full stops. Let your verbs be brazen but never irregular. Salute tongue in all its guises. Let Tongulish hop on the bandwagon. Abbreviate too our playful words not yet invented in gibberish, cant or slang. Give me garbled, slurred, rasp, a fricative on its own or leaning on a noun. I'll take a metaphor, babble, Weight Watchers words with no taste, Jejune compounds or con words, whisper, puggle, click or clack words. Just speak, or hold forever weasel or wicked words, worm words that are worthless, cutting down to size words that matter, that don't matter. I'll read this one very quickly. It's a very short one. Chaste. Is it C-H-A-S-T-E? Chaste. Yeah. Chaste. Your whipped tongue, a bullseye. I limp away. Later you slip a threepenny bit under my pillow. I open one bruised heart. Morsus. On the morning my father died, the fridge was so empty, you could hear a crumb drop. Glimpse. I'll come back as a hare and race the ins and outs of letter frack. I'll run rings around the dark place and flit past memories that might hurt a hair. I'll be half seen by the letter frackers in the semi-darkness that draws a limping shadow. I thought I saw a hare today standing on his hind legs, looking in the pub door. One day a blackbird called my name. It sang out as I raced the loop of letterfrack. I wanted to stop then and take a well-earned rest, my ears up for any ancient sound, a whisper or a howl. It was a scratch that came, my throat aflame, a female voice, more urgent than I'd known. She said, "Salute the blackbird and the lark, give the crow a wide berth, side-eye him only. He carries a lucky bag of omens, unlucky for some. Never chase the cry of the weasel, or you'll end up in no town, lost and lonely. Run, my son, and never stop." That's on a plaque outside a pub in Letterfrack, if you're ever out there. But it's on a wooden plaque, so I didn't think it looked great when I saw it. They might have fixed it up. It was about the industrial school, so it's a good one. Celsius. You can mind the car while I say mass. You can even hop in the back and mind the car while I say Mass. And if you're a good girl, as you often are, I might give you a shilling for minding the car while I say Mass. And when I come back, we can both sit in the car, just for the crack. And you can give me a blow-by-blow of your car-minding skills while I was saying Mass. And I might give you a pogue for warming the back seat and making it feel like 30 degrees Celsius, when God only knows it was as cold in here as a convert's confession, begging to be told. Cicero. It was the age of the cigarette. John McAuliffe from the Kabul Olympics 2020. Back in the late 80s, the Atlanta Hotel in Dominic Street was a great place for the arty crowd. Poetry readings and music sessions were never ending. Michael Hartnett kept loose cigarettes in his top left-hand pocket. As he was talking, he'd reach in and gingerly pluck one out. A natural movement with flair and devil-may-care, not to be gaped at but not to be missed either. He tapped the cigarette on his pinched lapel by way of readying it for the pursed lips. He was telling us something about the time someone put a hex on him. Although the cigarette was ready, it would have to wait till the story was told. It gambled now on his freer lips while we waited knowingly for his show-stopping strike. The Lonely Scanner in memory of Pat Inglesby. I am a lonely scanner who loiters in the basement of the National Gallery. No one knows the incredible and absurd ways I could be deployed. Hardly anyone ever comes down here except the two who fumble in and press against each other's lips and chew. A kiss-a-thon ensues. They make smattering noises. She sometimes coos. Once or twice a faint whiff of Chanel No. 5 dawdles in the air. When they are here with me, we are three. Not that they are with me, only in the adjacent sense of things. They never stay long. They are tongue-tied, all smash and grab. Their lips are latched. When they leave, the outside light I love to glimpse is quenched lickety-split. Then there is just me back in the dungeon dark of the National Gallery. I am a lonely scanner, unappreciated, unloved, longing to be free. King Crab in memory of Matthew Sweeney. I thought it was him at the other end of the hotel restaurant. It couldn't be, I said to myself, but it looked like him. It was him. Sit down, he said, and he offered me a glass of red. My drink was at another table a distance away. I'm in this hotel, are you? No, I'm in the hotel across the road, he said. There was an awful hullabaloo, a stag party or something. I couldn't bear the racket. I thought I'd cross over here for a quick drink. I nearly got obliterated by a truck. The car lights nearly blinded me. Then I zigzagged. I was King Crab. This was Dublin Airport pre-COVID. We were both reading at a festival in Canada, but our flight times were different. No, I had never met the organiser, David O'Mara. He's a nice guy. You like him, he said. Matthew was flying at some ungodly hour. He did the zigzag story again, how traffic tried to flatten him. It got funnier every time he told it. He told it one last time before he attempted the crossing. The mode of transport was different this time. A horse-drawn carriage with no driver entered the story. I watched from the restaurant window and saw him relive the story in real time. He zigged and zagged to the honking horns of the flying horsemen, the airport buses. He didn't give a hoot. Poor Matthew. God, he was something else. He really was something else. My goodness.